if I didn't have social media, I don't know how I would connect with the kids, because
Yeah.
with the students, because I try to talk about movies that I watched when I was a kid, and they're like, "What are you talking about?
That's awesome.
Like you don't know nothing about the Goonies? Like what are you talking about?" And these kids look at me like I'm weird, right? So thank the Lord that He provided me with a platform on social media to connect with really across the board many generations, but specifically with the Gen Zers, and it's so encouraging, because I'm starting to see, even in students that I'm discipling now, they're starting to share their faith more boldly.
Yeah.
They're having ideas of like, wow, like I can be overtly open about my faith rather than just be a secret agent Christian
Yes,
behind the scenes where
yes.
no one knows that I'm a Christian, right? Like they can
Yes.
actually boldly proclaim their faith. They can share a verse or two on their social media. They can do that. And so, and then being able to walk alongside with them and letting them know, hey, that once you're going to take this path, there's stewardship that comes along with this as
Yep.
well. There are pieces where you must steward your walk with this platform, whether it's 2 people or 200 people or 2 million people that view your videos. These are people that will be exposed to the light of Christ through the things that you do.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful that I get to take the platform that God has provided me and be an example for those who are coming behind me. And I mean,
Yes.
isn't that discipleship in a nutshell?
Yeah, completely. In its simplest form, right? And that's, I think people try to complicate it so much. Surely the church has tried to do so. And it's like, no, 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 it's actually a lot easier than that, even easier than a small group that you don't want to go to, right? Like there's
Yeah.
so much that can take place simply based on connection. And that's what these device things are for, is connection. And
Yep.
we've turned them into weapons. They've been turned into weapons. And that doesn't mean that we can't use them as a force of good. A gun is a weapon, but it's also a protection. And so it's based on your knowledge and how you get to use it. You have to have, my son doesn't have, I don't know if I'm a terrible mom, so I don't know if this is a thing or not, but we don't have like guns. We don't have like Nerf guns. We've just never really gotten into them. I'm not like anti-Nerf guns. I think they're so fun. And I used to play them all the time when I was younger, but my kiddos were at a camp this past week and my son was like, Friday, we're having a Nerf gun thing. Can we go out and buy a Nerf gun? I'm like, I'm definitely not spending $50 on a Nerf gun. So we can call any of your friends and we can borrow any of their Nerf guns. And so we went to one of his friend's house and the dad was like, here's all of our Nerf guns and there's so many, which one do you want? The first thing the kid does is he turns the gun to his face and he's looking down the gun hole. And the guy's like, oh, no, no, no. And I'm like, ooh, see, there are some things I need to teach you as a 10-year-old child that you should know. And he's like, why not? Why can't I look at it? And the dad's looking at me like, Tamra, come on, gun safety. I'm like, sorry, we haven't gotten that far yet. But there's like really terrible accidents that happen for that exact thing. It's lack of knowledge and the people will perish, right? And so there's certain things that we as a body of Christ have to be aware of. And I love that you're talking about it through this lens to the youth now, because you're opening their eyes. You're removing scales on possibility, on how can I share my faith? How can I be more bold in my faith? And honestly, what we're doing with the FounderCon and you and Dane coming in as the virtual host this year, it's abnormal, right? That there are people who are technically Christian influencers as hosts to a business conference, to be honest. Like you don't really see that very often. And the reason that I was like, this is a non-negotiable for me is because the business, whether e-commerce, whether in person, it doesn't matter what element of business, these are the leaders who are actually infiltrating on a day-to-day basis as leaders. And they have never taken the chasm between church and state and brought it together. And you and Dane show up fearlessly in that space. And this is where they need to understand that like you having a Monday morning motivation can be scriptural. You having an HR conversation can be scriptural. It can be biblically based and it can serve your company or organizations in such a deeper way than just check boxes, right? Of this is how it works. And we have a guiding light. Like God has literally given us the manual from a business perspective. And so I'm excited for them to have their scales removed on possibility ability and potentiality because of the work that you have done, specifically in leadership, specifically in emotional intelligence, specifically in your faith. And hey, isn't it when he says a childlike faith is the one that we should follow? So you being
That's
a
right.
baby, I'm right alongside you, and yet here we are fearlessly saying yes to him. And so often people forget that when they've been aged into something and the vibrancy has kind of gone away.
Yeah. Well, and as you're talking, I'm just so grateful for people who have gone before us who are modeling that. And I feel like we're a generation of people who are desiring to take what they have done and take it to another level. I think of like the John Maxwell's out there. He was ahead of his time. I mean,
Yeah.
at times when I hear him speak, I think he still is, and
Yeah.
so I just think about the model that he utilized to leave the four walls of the church, to get out into the marketplace, to teach the principles of the kingdom, because the truth is the truth no matter how you cut it.
Yep.
And so to teach the kingdom principles to the believer and non-believer, and then get it to the point where the non-believer says, wow, where did you get this from? And it's like, I got this from the Bible. Sit down and let me tell you about it. And so
Yes.
just to see that that is a strategy that somebody like John Maxwell has utilized, man, we can take those principles, and now with the reach that we have, I mean, John Maxwell had to do it with books and tapes,
I know,
back
it's
in the day. Now
crazy.
today we have video, we have social media, we have
Yeah.
so many different avenues. And that's why, when we created that Invade the Marketplace 6-week challenge, we started to think, what's the best word that would describe this new generation of people who would enter into the marketplace with kingdom principles? Boy, it's invade. Let's get
So
in there.
good. It's so true. And like I don't see us taking anyone by like we're not going to not take anyone with us is really what I mean. Like that's the beautiful part about this kingdom mission, is this communal mission, is like I don't want to leave the one who thinks they're ill-equipped on the side. I'm like, come on, let me pick you up real quick. Like I will teach you as we go. That's the discipleship piece that I think has been forgotten. It's like, oh, once you get to this certain level of understanding of scriptural knowledge, then we'll invite you to lead, right? And I do not see these quote unquote baby Christians doing that. They're saying, whoa, I got a download, let me teach you about it. Whoa, I got a revelation, let me teach you about it. And that's what the first disciples did. They were not hesitant to speak out on the things that Christ was newly teaching them. Did they get it right all the time? Not so much. But what was beautiful is the grace that followed that. And I think that's the example that the church needs now more than ever. And it needs to be inside of this place that is truly become what is a ball and chain to most people. They go to work as a 9 to 5, which is a third of their life, and they're miserable. And so it's not necessarily about being an entrepreneur, though you hear that a lot about what we're talking about here. The entrepreneurs are just as critical in this as the entrepreneur. And I believe everyone has an essence of entrepreneurial spirit, regardless of what your title or tagline says, because that means you're a creative and you're made in the image of a creative God. And therefore you have to tap into that in order to experience some of these emotions of health and wealth and joy and goodness and overflow, rather than staying stagnant.
Yeah. And then truly, I believe, and I think God reveals it through his word, that each and every single one of us have been uniquely gifted in specific things. And so as believers, we can be problem solvers in the world. And there are problems, and I'll talk about this later on this evening on our challenge, but we're going to be diving into, there are problems that people want solved,
Yeah.
and based off of your unique life experience now that God has gifted you with, you can help people get from point A to point B, and you can speed up their process by teaching them your unique life experiences, and sharing that with others. And so, yeah, even if you, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a business. However, I do believe that when people become aware that people will pay you for your unique giftings and experiences and expertise in a specific area, most people will look at it and be like, there's no reason why I should not be in the marketplace like literally right now.